What's good, family? Shout out to my doggy Martin Curran for sending in that much needed sponsorship coin, no doubt. So, as you might have seen by the title, and as you've seen at the start of this video, your man's Anthony Zest Johnston has leaked some footage of him lighting up Joe. Yeah, never mind Joe, how about Slow Joyce? From now on, yeah, I don't want to hear no more about Joe. His name's Slow Joyce. What's up, Slow? You cool? What's going on, Mr. Slow? Mr. Slow Joe Joyce, 100%. That's the name from now on. Slow, Mr. And introducing, in the red corner, Mr. Slow Joe Joyce, 100%. Listen, anyway, back to it. Like I said, you've seen the footage. People know me. People think, recently, because I've been exposing Mr. Anthony Zest Johnston, aka the Boogaloo Bear, the big friendly fluffy belly bear, yeah, that Donny there, who ain't trying to hurt no one in the ring. People think this is a bash AJ channel at all opportunities. Absolutely not. I address things on a case by case basis, yeah? There's no one who's above criticism and there's no one below it. Any man can get topped. No, there's no doubt about that. 100%. I'll turn any one of these big goofy looking asses into a bottom in an instant. You best believe that as well. Yeah? So with that in mind, I ain't gonna lie to you. This footage, obviously, we know AJ stopped Slow Joyce in the amateurs, but this footage was very telling. But in fact, this tells more than at first glance what most people will take from it, in as much as we know at the moment everyone's interested in, oh look, Joe Joyce and AJ are beefing and are they going to fight next. This for me tells a much deeper and a much more interesting story than just that. Now, people who have been following my channel know that AJ, in my opinion, peaked in 2015, 2016. I don't believe anyone, I believe it, if AJ had made the right improvements back from 2015, no one would do anything with him. He'd knock Wilder out, he'd knock Fury out, etc, etc. And I stand by my comments. If AJ was going in the right direction and had the right mindset, obviously, if my nan had a big schlong, she'd be my granddad, but I'm just saying, theoretically speaking, on paper, if AJ had maximised all of his attributes, there's no reason he can't be seen as a top ticket Hall of Famer. Now, currently, AJ's going to go down as Fraudley Harrison, a bigger version of Fraudley Harrison as well, a more scammier version. Fraudley Harrison only scammed the fans really for one big fight. Anthony the Boogaloo Bear has made a let's honestly, AJ's career as it ends today will be known as the biggest fraud ever in the history of all sports, most likely. No one's ever been able to make so much coin and been as useless as him. That's where his career ends if it ended today, no doubt. Let's be real now. What do we know? Well, he stepped up against a middleweight and he got whooped. Mr. Blobby whooped him. Anyone his own age whooped him. Oops. Yeah? Let's be real now. Who he whooped his own age? Pulev old. And even then he cacked his pants. Pulev old. Vlad old. Anyone his own age who was half decent, he lost to. And/or he shit his pants against. AKA when he went into the Mr. Blobby rematch and ran around the place. And I'm sorry, you can't have the attributes AJ has, and it can never be acceptable to run away from Mr. Blobby. Simple as that. That's the bottom line. That's the start of it, and that's the end of it. Ain't no one trying to watch some big Africanulese looking ass, yeah? Ain't no one trying to watch some big Promethean goo wannabe ass, some big engineer wannabe, yeah? Anyone who's watched the film Prometheus, look at the engineer Don. AJ, made from engineer goo. And no one trying to watch some engineer goo Donny run away from Mr. Blobby. Simple as that. That's where it starts, that's where it finishes. And someone in his camp should have been told him that. Yeah? Oops. 100%. But anyway, I've given you that background because this footage, I believe, comes from them times. 2015, 2016. Yeah? And you can just see what I've been talking about. You can see AJ's deterioration. Look at the swagger here. Even when AJ's moving back, look at the swagger. He's relaxed. You even see him slipping and sliding. He's letting his hands go. He's touching, he's moving. He ain't loading up. One of my big criticisms, even in the Pulev fight, one of my big criticisms of AJ in general, he load up. Big massive shots that everyone sees coming. He doesn't have that calm flow. You can clearly see this footage shows pure flow state. He reminds me to some extent of like McGregor's prime as well. When McGregor was in his prime i.e. 2013, 2014, just flowing. And you can see it here. AJ just touching slow Joyce all over. I mean, have any of you, man, ever seen AJ slipping and sliding in the last few years? Have you ever seen him dare being in range and pull and counter and do all this kind of stuff? And that's what I mean when I say, imagine if AJ had gone down this route and improved these kind of skills. Anyone can jab and disengage from a 50-year-old Pulev. Go back and watch the Pulev fight. The whole fight, he touching little piddly jab and then backs off, runs away. Same as the Ruiz rematch. Anyone can do that. That's not rocket science. Here you see AJ in front of Joe Joyce, someone more dangerous than Ruiz, in my opinion, more dangerous than Pulev, and AJ is showing less respect to Joe Joyce than he did with Usyk and Ruiz and the other guy, and Pulev. AJ giving more respect to Pulev than he is Joe Joyce. And yes, you can say it's sparring, but this is not about sparring, it's about an attitude. Yeah? And I was the one, interestingly enough, you see AJ here with his hands down, just slipping and sliding. What did I tell you about the Pulev fight? I said, if AJ's got any chance of really succeeding himself, if I was training AJ against Pulev, we'd be going in there hands down. Just go in there and just slip and slide. That's exactly what I said. Go back and watch the videos. I said, if I was training AJ right now, our confidence is going to be so high, we're going to be in there with our hands down, just slipping, sliding and touching him all over. 100%. The same way Pulev touched that woman, yeah, who didn't want to be touched. We're going to, trust me, one of them ones. Bob Arum will be in court filing. Yeah? For 100%. Yeah? That's how bad we're going to do Pulev. Your man Bob Arum will be in New York court filing some ex abuse. No doubt about that. He'll be in there filing on Pulev's behalf. Yeah? Being 100% violated in public. No doubt about that. And Bob Arum would also be suing Sky for revenge porn. You best believe that. Sorry, Sky, we've got to sue you because you put the footage out to the public. 100%. That's how bad it'd be for Pulev. That's how it should have been. Look at him in here. You see him with this. Look at the swagger. Pure swagger. Slipping, rolling. And to be honest, like, this is how you... Like, I'm not someone who... This reminds me of... You know when you see... If and when you see Canelo go backwards. This is how he looks. And you see, all this footage, to be fair... It's quite defensive really from AJ. Yes, he lets his hands go, but for the main, he's backing up and he's not pressing forward, is he, for example? This is what defensive training should look like, people. This is the extent of defensive training. Yeah? You're taking small steps back. You're not galloping backwards out of range and being scared and whatnot. You're taking small steps back. You're being evasive in the pocket and you're in range to get counters off. This is what it should look like. This is how you train defense. Now, I'm not saying he can't be tighter and improve the skills to a higher extent, but look at it. Show me the last time you saw AJ moving like this in a fight. Oops. Yeah? And I'm not being funny, but the Usyk fight and the Pulev fight were the perfect opportunities to be doing this kind of stuff. These were warm-up fights for the Fury fight. I was saying that. Certainly the Pulev fight. There's no reason for AJ to be nervous, loading up and... Go, look how he panics against Pulev. When he hurt Pulev, he panicked and went, oh, his ass was flapping. Even when he had Pulev hurt, he was scared. He wasn't enjoying it in there. He wasn't in flow state. He wasn't just enjoying his, as a saying, enjoy your food. Yeah? Or I remember from The Lion King, Simba was told, don't play with your food. That's exactly what he's supposed to do in this game. Play with your food. AJ should have been in there with his hands down, just rolling all over. Yeah? Digging his shoulder in and whipping him to the ball. All sorts. Like I said, touch him all over. No doubt. Epstein the guy. 100%. Weinstein him. Oops. Yeah? That's what should have been happening. Instead, you scary ass dudes and AJ's scary ass team have taken this guy from 2015 and turned him into the most useless fighter I've ever seen in the world. I've never seen someone as big and useless as AJ is now. That's a fact. And again, bear in mind, he's doing these things in front of Joe Joyce. Someone more dangerous than Usyk, more dangerous than Pulev, more dangerous than Ruiz. Or even if you want to suck off the middleweight. Okay, they're at least on the same par. So why is it AJ Abel back in 2015? That's why I tell you as a clone. I'm telling you now, this ain't the real one. Because it's miles apart. This ain't the same guy. Look how he's touching. There's very little loading up here. He's not, and I understand it's sparring, but still... There's not even smidgens of this former guy. can't remember the last time I've seen AJ toe to toe, just in there moving his head. Show me it. Show me where you've seen AJ happy to stand there and move his head and counter. You ain't seen that. Yeah, I don't know what he does the whole fight. All you see is a piddly jab. Show me when you've seen AJ throw more than one shot at a time. You don't see it. Show me when you've seen AJ get a combination off. Show me when you've seen AJ throw hooks and uppercuts. He put in 5 or 6 shots together in some of this footage, and I understand going back to the place this footage comes from. This footage has obviously been leaked by Team AJ. Team AJ, bear in mind the controversy that's going on at the moment. AJ said I knocked you out in the amateurs, and obviously Team AJ have leaked this to say, listen, because I'm not being funny from this, and yes, don't get me wrong, it's highly edited. So there's no doubt about that. These are most likely AJ's best bits, but still, even you can't show me any footage out of AJ's last few fights that have any of the best bits like this. AJ touching, he moving. This looks like pretty much. Now, obviously, Canelo fights more differently. Canelo likes to load up with 1 or 2 shots, but in terms of the defensive nature of things, this looks like an early version of Canelo, if that makes sense. If AJ honed these skills, this looks exactly how Alvarez looked when he's being defensive. His head's moving, and he ain't galloping backwards out of range. He's cute with it. That's cute. That's what you can call this. And it's really sad to watch, to be quite frank. A tear almost came to my eye, thinking of what could have been. But for all you goofy dudes and his whole team, not just AJ, the whole lot of them, all of his man fans, everyone else, these are the sprinkles of what should have and what could have been. That is no longer. Now, why has Team AJ leaked this? I think it's a good sign if you think the JOYCE fight is going to happen. Because why else would they put it out? To put this footage out and not have no intention of making the fight would be a bit odd. But then again, the whole of Team AJ have been moving odd. Who knows? Now, I hope AJ looks at this and thinks, wow, where's that swagger gone? Because I've done videos myself of AJ in training, doing little sparring bits, and he's cacking his pants again. You don't see no slickness like this in his set. And that's what I'm telling you, it's not the same one. I don't care what no one says. This ain't the same one. The swagger. AJ was full of swagger. I've talked about it. Go and watch the Dillian White fight. The Dillian White fight had very similar things to this kind of footage. He in there, enjoying his work, touching. Yes, AJ's always loaded up sometimes and got excited, but that's what, with age, he was supposed to marinate these skills. Look at Canelo, for example. Canelo used to be a bit of a volume puncher. He's marinated, and now he's totally calm. He walks forward, and he digs. The most calm and most precise and most... Honestly, even historically speaking, what Canelo does, he does to arguably probably the greatest ever. In terms of how his ability to remain calm. It almost reminds me, actually, the only one I could parallel with it would be Mayweather, but Mayweather wasn't aggressive, that's the difference. Alvarez keeps us... It's much more difficult to be calm when you're being offensive. Alvarez is able to be calm under attack and when he's putting on someone. When Alvarez is under attack, he's very calm. And also when he's attacking, he doesn't get super excited and start loading up and going wild. AJ's gone backwards. When AJ was in there with Dillian White, yes, sometimes he'd overload, but look at the Pulev fight. That was AJ was literally desperate to finish Pulev. Like scared, as if to say, oh, if I don't get him out now, what am I going to do for the rest of the fight? I must do it now, because otherwise I'm going to fall apart and run out. That's what, it was panicked. It was a panicked attack. It wasn't I've got 8 more rounds and I'm going to touch this guy all over and I'm going to enjoy doing it. Yeah? I'm going to enjoy pushing this dude's dinner right the way in for him. He weren't doing that. He was panicked. He was scared. He was more scared than Pulev was, truth be known. And it showed, because guess what? After the 3rd round, when AJ went crazy against Pulev, you didn't see no offense for another 7 rounds, which shows you he was scared. And what's the first 2 rounds? Until he catches Pulev with a lucky shot, he ain't doing nothing. He ain't building. He ain't in flow state. Look at AJ here, touching, slipping, combination, slipping, rolling, stepping off. Oh, and then at one point you see AJ, he takes a half step back and then explodes forward. This stuff is pure flow. This is pure world-class quality, especially for a heavyweight. People used to rate Tyson Fury for head movement, but Tyson Fury head movement for the main, throughout the bulk of his career, was always defensive. You never saw really Tyson Fury slip, slide and counter. Here, you see AJ doing a whole lot of it. Like I said, like Alvarez. This was 6 years ago. Imagine if AJ had the YB in the camp and we moving on from this point. Six years on now. B would be 100% unstoppable. Instead, he brought in a whole bunch of goofs. Ain't got a clue what they're doing. That's a fact as well. Because this for me, yeah, is Tony Sims. This isn't Rob McCrappen. Tony Sims, look at Conor Benn. Yes, Conor Benn needs to fight Venetian, but look at the base skills of Conor Benn. Look at how he fights. All these skills, yeah, you see from AJ is all Tony Sims. Got nothing to do with Rob McCrappen. Because Rob McCrappen has had now 5 years of himself, and you've seen how AJ's gone from bad to worse. Same as Angel Fernandez. Useless. Rob McCrappen and Angel Fernandez will be known as the most useless trainers in the history of the sport. There's never been someone as useless. Look at the talent here. Don't care what no one says, even if it is a highlight stream. Show me another heavyweight with his kind of confidence and combination punching and whatever else and slickness. Show me it. Who got that? Wilder hasn't. Who else ain't got it? Even Fury now, but Fury for the bulk of his career ain't got that kind of swagger. And even then, what Fury doesn't have is the bottom line attributes, the power, the heavy combinations. I mean, even when you look at the first Ruiz fight when AJ gets caught, he's loading up. You don't see AJ, and yes, I've always said, even AJ in his prime, 2015, his defense was leaky. He needs to get his guard on point. But that's, in my opinion, that should be, honestly, I could fix AJ's guard in a week. A week of drills. I don't know what they're doing, but that just shows that his team ain't got a clue what they're doing, 100%. But if you fix that key hole, it'd make heaps of difference. But going back to the Ruiz fight, look at AJ in the Ruiz fight. He's in there and he's just loading up with huge heavy shots and he's all stiff, ain't he? Look at how relaxed the guy is here. Look at the relaxedness. You see the shots just flowing. You don't see him where they're coming from. You just see his hands and flowing and whatnot. Why hasn't this been emphasised? So stiff in that Ruiz fight. Super stiff. Being offensively stiff is no good. In the prime of Mike Tyson's career, his hands, it's almost like watching it's almost like watching a famous painter paint. It's an art. Yeah? A pure art. It's not stressed. It's not like the way AJ is aggressive these days. It's like he's pushing out a shit that's about 6 foot long. He's like, proper. You see him all tight. Yeah, his sphincter's all tight. I'm not sure what. Oh, no, I am sure what it is. His mind's shot to bits. His mind shot to bits, and his body shot to bits. The whole lot shot to bits. That's the bottom. That's what this footage proves here. Yeah. So I could have made a video today talking about JOYCE versus AJ, but this for me, the main thing about this was it shows me where we've gone, it shows me how bad things are now, in my opinion. And it's not about YB. What if AJ puts out some footage trying to choreograph? You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if Team AJ and Team Fernando Alonso see this and say, let's put out a video of AJ doing something similar now. It's not the same though. Yeah, I'm under no illusions you can probably make. To be honest, I'm not even sure you could. But to be quite frank, I'm not even sure AJ could if he wanted to choreograph some footage that looks like this. To be quite frank, honestly, I think the only way AJ could make some footage that resembles something like what we've just seen there from 2015 would be if he told his partner, "Okay, don't throw no punches." Because I'm telling you now, if AJ knew that it was a fair exchange going on, he don't have the confidence. He don't have the swagger. This clone, they've made a mistake. They've not put the right minerals in. AJ, go back to 2015. He was extremely confident, and that's what I don't get. You have to be in this game. This game is, psychologically speaking, you have to be super confident. And yes, he got knocked down by Vlad, but why is it Tyson Fury gets knocked down all the time? No problem. And that's why I'm telling you, it's a clone. I don't believe the AJ that was from 2015 would have minded getting put down. In fact, we saw it. Because in my mind, someone who gets put down and who's scared, why did AJ come back in the Vlad fight? I'd get it, yeah. AJ to this point would make sense if, for example, he got put down by Vlad and then he completely fell apart and was never the same again. But that's not the truth. AJ went on to fight Takam, touched him all over. Same kind of style. He went on to fight other people as well. Yes, there was some minor deteriorations, but it wasn't night and day. Even in the Vlad fight itself, he got put down and he got straight back up and went to work in the last few rounds. Look at the Parker fight. AJ marches forward against Parker the whole night, and the ref saves Parker on the inside. So I don't know what's happened. It's super weird. I actually believe it was something's happened before the Ruiz camp. That's when it happened. He was kind of coming off the board anyway. I think the Povetkin fight for me was a bit odd. The Povetkin fight was a bit weird as well. But definitely, that first Ruiz fight, his eyes started looking dodgy. He started looking glassy-eyed, and that was the end of that. And we saw what happened in the Ruiz fight. In the Ruiz fight, AJ came out, and he was all tentative. There was no flow state. There was no relaxedness. It was all stiff. Super stiff. And yes, people have critiqued AJ. Oh, AJ's always been stiff. No, he hasn't. You can see the footage here. Oh, but why be? It's only sparring. It doesn't matter what it only is. Yes, you get more tense under pressure, but not really. The great ones don't do that. And it's not like you can watch AJ versus Dillian Whyte. He's very similar to this. He's just in there flowing, enjoying it, sticking his tongue out. He want to be there. When you see AJ come out against Usyk and get popped in the mouth in the first round, he didn't want to be there. He thought, no, I don't want. I ain't want nothing to do with this. Honestly, it was shocking to watch. It really was shocking to watch. Couldn't believe it. It's not the same man. And the numbers don't add up. It doesn't add up. Why? And that's why I tell you he cloned 100%. But anyway, I won't ramble on. This is, for me, is a sad video. Brings back very many memories. Now, I hope Team AJ aren't putting this out implying this means something. Please don't do that. Yeah. Let me tell you now for free. Please, Team AJ, don't see this and think that you still that guy. Oops. Yeah. I'm worried that Team AJ are thinking, yeah, put this footage out of us, because there's no doubt Team AJ schools and stunts all over Joe Joyce in this footage. AJ makes Joe Joyce look silly in this footage. Facts. Yeah. Joe Joyce makes AJ look like Canelo Alvarez in there. That's how. I mean, Slow Joyce was marching forward like a zombie, and AJ was giving him the good old Me Too, giving him the good old Weinstein, touching him all over. Yeah? So, I'm just hoping that Team AJ aren't putting this out thinking that he's still that guy, because you ain't. You ain't going to be able to replicate the things you was doing in that sparring session. That's what you ain't going to be able to do. Yeah? So on that basis, please don't take this fight thinking that, oh yeah, we've still got the same AJ. Now, the reason I apply pressure, the reason I'm so aggressive and so hard on AJ is because this is what should be happening. And every day this doesn't happen, i.e. every day AJ ain't looking like this, there's a problem. Yeah? And no one else ain't going to talk about it. Man fans, same as Dillian Whyte man fans, they just brush over everything. Oh no, it's okay. He's my favourite man in the world. I love my man, AJ, so I'm going to shield for whatever he does. I want the best. I don't want mediocrity. I don't want him going life and death with a middleweight. Not good enough. I want him in there doing what he does in this footage. There's no reason it can't be happening against all these guys. Swagger. What you see here is swagger. It reminds me of Naz. It reminds me of Canelo. All them ones. All the guys who had high swagger. That's what AJ doing here, swaggering. Where the swagger gone? You tell me. AJ man fans, tell me the last time you saw AJ with swagger in the ring. Just in there stunting. Stepping. Getting off. Moving. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Mixing it all up. Show me, when was it? We saw one uppercut. Bear in mind, AJ was known as an uppercutter and a hooker. We saw 2 uppercuts in the whole Usyk fight. But yeah, anyway, if the Joe Joyce fight does happen, this ain't what it's going to look like. You can bet your bottom dollar that. It ain't going to look nothing like this. You best believe that as well. Not even a bit like this is it going to look. Joe Joyce right now, I don't care how much footage they put out, Joe Joyce right now would knock AJ's head right off for him. His jab's too accurate. Look at that Daniel Dubois. AJ now, the AJ with no swagger is as stiff as Daniel Dubois is. And Slow Joyce, despite being slow, will jab AJ's nut right off for him. And AJ doesn't have the shots that caught Slow Joyce before, the hooks and the uppercuts, because Slow Joyce is super slow and super stiff. But them shots that caught him in this sparring session, AJ don't throw anymore. AJ would be going jab for jab with Slow Joyce. And Joe Joyce going to win. Joe Joyce got the confidence and he got the chin. And he got the confidence in his chin. Something AJ don't have. AJ, don't forget, again, AJ got popped by Usyk and Cactus Pants. Your man's Slow Joyce will pop AJ with a jab and that'll be it. AJ won't want to know no more from that stiff jab, that pike jab. He won't want nothing, not even a little bit more to do with it. So, let's see what happens anyway.